Guten Morgen, muchachos. How are you doing? Welcome back to Football Digest Daily. My name is Nash. Of course, you get to check on Football Digest Daily. You get to check what is happening over the weekend as far as football is concerned. Of course, everybody knows they're in the international break right now, and of course, we have the qualifiers happening here in Kenya. Of course, we have Africa-wise, continental-wise, we have the Africa Cup of Nations qualifiers going on. Elsewhere, we have the Nations Leagues, G12 stages of that. I'm not going to be talking about the Nations League. I'm here to talk about Harambee Stars, and more specifically on our coach Engin Firat and why Firat must go. Now, Engin Firat was the coach overseeing Kenya playing the qualifiers. We drew with Zimbabwe 1-1 on Friday, and of course that rendered us out. We had to win the last two fixtures for us to have a chance of qualifying. By that, I mean win the last two fixtures and hope that Zimbabwe loses at least one match or they get absolutely clobbered in the two matches. You get me? Because of course we have a poor goal difference compared to Zimbabwe. So first up, if we draw with Zimbabwe, that means we are out, technically out. All right? Not even technically, just out all in all. And Zimbabwe have gone through. And of course, that is exactly what happened. We drew with Zimbabwe 1-0. As a result, Zimbabwe went through and we are out. Zimbabwe, I think they have 11 points now. We have 4 points. We had to beat them, by the way, to get to a chance of getting to qualify for that Cup of Nations. Next up, we have Namibia, which is that dead rubber game, in my opinion, because we shall just be playing there for formality. We are not qualifying. We are out of the qualifiers, all in all. So it doesn't really have any impact, to be honest. Now, Firat has been the Kenyan coach, head coach of the Harambee Stars for the last 3 years. All right? In that 3 years, he has overseen 23 matches. In those 23 matches, he has won 7. That's a third. Almost less than a third, actually, of the matches. In the 7 matches that he has overseen and won, only 3 were competitive matches. Now, for starters, that's a SACKED statistic. Before that, when Mbali, you cannot oversee 3 competitive wins in 23 matches in 3 years and still have a job. You cannot. So by that virtue, I think for me, he deserves to go. Second, Firat is the only coach. You know, when he came in, Kenya was not playing for the qualifiers. Kenya was suspended from playing the qualifiers of the last edition of the Africa Cup of Nations. So tulikuwa wacheza tu friendly. Firat has played so many friendlies. I don't think there's any Kenyan coach who has enjoyed more friendlies than he has, and more so high-profile friendlies. Tumecheza hadi na Qatar, tumecheza sijui na Iran. I'm like, surely, when you're playing all these friendlies, that's when you get to know, like, I can work with these guys or I cannot work with these guys. I can work with this guy, I cannot work with this guy, and so on and so forth. So that when you get down to it, and by down to it now, I mean these qualifiers, you know exactly who you want to work with. But it can't be that after all those friendlies, Jamaa bado anapiga experiments in the qualifiers. As in, come on. Surely. Like what he did against Cameroon, because the rain started beating us in 2 instances, in my opinion. One, when we drew 0-0 with Zimbabwe. That's a home fixture. It was considered a home fixture, regardless of whether we're playing away from home or whatever. It was considered a home fixture. 0-0 draw, not good for the result. Not good at all, in my opinion. Then you go to Cameroon and you get clobbered 4-1. Was it 4-1 or 4-0? And in that game, that's when he decided to change the goalkeeper. Put in Patrick Matasi, who did fuck all, and took out Brian. Is it Brian? Yeah, is it Brian Othiambo or something? Brian. I know his first name. And you're like, why are you changing something that is working? Why are you putting Matasi? And even more so, when Matasi came on, he considered a very stupid goal. Like, because that's when the rain started beating us as the Harambee Stars. Since then on, it has never been the same. And then that fixture, when we are playing, now not actually the third, the fourth, when you are playing now Cameroon in the return leg, he took out Matasi again and of course brought back Brian. And of course we lost that game. But the experiments that he's doing, the leaving out some players out of the starting 11s that he has been conducting, playing some guys out of position, playing like how we played in the game against Zimbabwe. You had Ayunga and Olunga in the same team, the same starting 11. I feel like for me, they are the same profile of strikers. That's not necessary. You don't need that. Msika Austin Othiambo came in the 80th minute. That's when he was brought on. What was he brought on to do? That's a guy who should be starting the fixture. Duke Abuya was brought on in the second half. The game changed a little bit when he came on. But why was he not in the starting 11? So, a lot of experiments by Engin Firat, in my opinion, and they have absolutely not helped his case out. You know, if you do those experiments and you win the matches, then it's all right. But if you do those experiments and you fail to win, bro, your goose has been cooked. So that's the second reason for me. And also the third, Kenya has been playing all those friendlies, right? And then the only competitive matches being playing now are these ones. Once you saw the group come out of the group that you are in for the qualifiers of the 2025 AFCON, it's very straightforward. Kenya is the second highest ranked team in that group. So it's only obvious that we qualify because the top two teams were qualifying. And the fixtures are already laid out. So you as a coach, just panga your matches well. You know you need to win against Zimbabwe at home. You know you can beat Namibia at home. You know Cameroon is the toughest opponent. So even if you lose the two against Cameroon, just don't lose in a high profile, in a what do you call it, in a high scoring game. Just don't get clobbered like a 4-1. No. People are maybe 2-1. If at all you're going to lose, maybe in the return leg, try and get a draw. Then you can see off Namibia and Zimbabwe. It's lined up for you. Apo ujipange nazo. He could not do that. He could not do that. In the 6 fixtures you're going to play, we needed only not lose 3 fixtures. All right? Lose against Cameroon, you're Nisawa. Then you beat Zimbabwe and you beat Namibia. Namibia. You beat Zimbabwe and you beat Namibia in the home fixtures. Then you at least go to their place and maybe get one win of the two teams. Maybe get a draw against Zimbabwe and win against Namibia, or beat the two of them. Because I think we can beat the two of them. We are highly ranked in the FIFA rankings than those two teams. So once you fail to do that, in my opinion, if you don't qualify for Africa Cup of Nations in this group, then I think for me that's sackable. That's a sackable offense. Absolutely sackable. And that's what is going to happen to Engin Firat. I honestly feel he is going to get fired. I would be shocked if he does not get fired. I think he should get fired. I don't see how you have 3 years and then you get such a group and you fail to qualify. And then, of course, Kenya, we need to start sorting our own shit from within now, because hizi mambo za kuleta foreign coaches, it's not really working. And you know, okay, not all foreign coaches have failed. Let's just be honest with that for starters, all right? The coach who took us to the 2019 Africa Cup of Nations was a foreign coach, so you can't really castigate these coaches. Engin Firat has been given time. All right, he's been given 3 years. So when you're given time like that, then honestly, you need to match up with something good. The guy who was previously there before Engin Firat was David Put. David Put was not given time. He went to Uganda. He's been given time. Uganda have qualified for the Africa Cup of Nations already with, I think, a fixture to go. Or is it 2 fixtures to go for them? They're already through. David Put, a former Kenya national team head coach. Tanzania is another team that is on the verge of qualifying. And if you look at the group stages of these 3 countries, Tanzania, Uganda, and Kenya, they were put in groups that you feel like if you really give your best, you honestly do have a chance here and you can actually qualify. Tanzania on the verge of qualifying, Uganda already through, Kenya is not through. Kenya is out. These 3 teams are the teams that are going to be hosting the next edition of the Africa Cup of Nations after the 2025 one. In 2027. So of course you wanted to see like these teams that are hosting the 2027 edition, how will they perform in this 2025 one? Maybe that's why you could say maybe you are given some sort of light fixtures. But Kenya being Kenya, of course, could not make it through. And I feel like for me, this is a microcosm of the poor management of Kenyan football. Not just in the head coach department, but also all in all in the Football Kenya Federation. And that's why, thank God, we're having the elections coming up. And honestly, I do hope we're going to see a different management coming in. And the first order of business that they should do come December 7th or 8th is fire Engin Firat. If at all, he shall not have resigned. If at all, he shall not have gone by then, he should be fired. First order of business. We need to get our shit together as we qualify for the 2026 World Cup, as we do the qualifications for the 2026 World Cup, because I don't think we'll qualify, as we do the 2027 Africa Cup of Nations, of which we have qualified already by the virtue of being host. I honestly feel if you are not the host, we could not have qualified for the 2027 Africa Cup of Nations. And maybe I'm just being sadistic here. But, come on. I feel now that we are the host and we're going to qualify, of course, whoever is the coach, the bare minimum he can do in the Africa Cup of Nations is get us past the group stages. Whether tupeleke tu kwa round of 16, ama kwa quarterfinals or something, just get us out of the group stages. Then everything else equals out. Because, man, Africa Cup of Nations has been expanded from 16 teams to 24 teams. And we cannot still qualify. We still cannot qualify. Come on, man. This There is no way Firat should be staying as the head coach of this country. He should get fired, man. And he has this knack of blaming everybody but him. He blames everybody but him, man, in my opinion. So, yeah, blame game here, blame game there, not good enough. You can even blame the SG journalists. Come on. Yeah, I think Engin Firat must go, man, for Kenya to move forward as a team. And we need to get serious about the management of this football. I hope the management of this football changes. Even when I say management, I mean the FKEF. Nick Mwendwa has only overseen one qualification for the Africa Cup of Nations as the president of FKEF. In that 2019 one, we actually did qualify, not competitively, but because Sierra Leone were banished or were banned by FIFA from playing the qualifiers. So Kenya, by the virtue, I think, being the third team in that group, we qualified by that. Not because we competitively got there, no. So we cannot have presidents who are not helping us get to the Africa Cup of Nations, and the same for the head coach. Takie should get this man back, and Akai Tuko Takie, we need another guy to come in and, of course, be the coach. Look at Gor Mahia. Gor Mahia played 4 competitive matches without winning. The next thing you know, Leon Neva is done, is home, is fired. We should be doing the same for the Africa Cup of Nations. We should be doing the same for the national team of this country. I honestly feel Engin Firat has come to the end of the road, and he should absolutely go home. That's what's up, guys. Have a fantastic week. Of course, this week we shall not be having the Extra Digest podcast. We have something different cooking, so be on the lookout for that. For the other subscribers,